Greetings once again. Good evening, everyone. Have a lovely cup of tea here. Perhaps a cup of tea would help for this episode. I'm just going to wipe my glasses. Yeah. This one could well take extra episodes. I'm going to see how I manage this time explaining this particular Galactic Arkana. And yeah. Right. Well, today we've reached day number 47 in the Galactic Arkana sequence, and we are still in the octahedron level, which definitely has extra resonance with today's graphics and calculations, and there is going to be a fair bit of maths today. So there's a couple options. You can take notes and add up the sums as well, or just sit back and let it sink in energetically. That's the two ideas I thought about sharing. So Galactic Arkana number 10. I've got my Ice Core Wizard jacket on today, because today we're going to be talking about the Ice Cores. And this is a graphic I shared with respect to the Ice Core engineers back at Galactic Arkana 20. So connecting back to Galactic Arkana 20, today we are on card number 10, and that's traditionally called the Wheel of Fortune. I like to refer to it as the Wheel of Four Tones, and I'll explain why, or what I'll share with you today should explain why that is the case. So the ice cores on this level, this is covering approximately 500,000 years. Yeah, so that's 500,000 years. So today's card, it's actually printed pretty dark on here, but I shared the graphic earlier. Today's card is Celestial Alignments and then Cosmic Clock in inverted commas. In order to make sense of all the cosmic cycles, before the ice cores from Greenland matched up with the codes in my first book, the 371 and 391, the 372, 391. I made this graphic, this one, to show the counter-rotating hands or axes of the celestial clock, in inverted commas. Not that it really is a clock. We live in our organic universe. Geometric tools enable us to make accurate calculations based on averages and how they fluctuate plus or minus over that average. This is how I decoded what I have discovered in these codes. So, just a wee quick recap. Geometric average, organic fluctuation. So, I actually have my own special card for this one, And this is essentially the same card, and I've put these two arms on here, and you can see one of them goes this way and the other one goes that way, and they're basically the two axes that turn on this particular card, which is a very important one. The two axes can be found via the information on infinity codes in reference to the 71 and 58 year shifts. So there's more information about what each of these axes represent. Now, I made this in 2012, the graphic, to try and encapsulate all the different fractal levels on a single graphic. So it makes sense that this is the one that connects with the ice cores covering 500,000 years. Profound as that is, it needs to be explained. It needs to be explained. So that's what I'm going to endeavour to do today, is I'm going to try and explain this in great detail and describe what I feel I've discovered in the maths of the organic universe that we live in. You can find images like this online, which show fluctuations on various levels and how other people have mapped it out. And today's episode resonates with this sort of maths. Now, I referred to Galactic Arkana 20, which is the one that speaks about the Holocene period, which is in this graphic, where this period here lasts approximately 2 long counts, and that's the entirety of history that we have as recorded history. The standard version, that's basically recorded history here. And that's roughly 2 long counts, which last about 5,125 years. Now, as a form of art, just to share with you some of the things I've shared before I share newer stuff, which I've been working on today and since I did the first round of these videos. So, going back to this one, this is it on a linear graph. Now, I looked for patterns, and what I found was a way to describe it artistically, like this. Now, each of these points here, that's an interglacial, yeah? Each of these are interglacials, and in between that are ice ages. Okay? So it's organic. It doesn't look like a clock. It has clock-like features, but it's organic. Right. Now, are there patterns in this organic matrix that can be expressed in ratios of maths that could help us to understand what are the even causes? Because there's a lot of information about what are the causes for this. Generally speaking, in the information you find online, usually what's referred to are Milankovitch cycles, and that goes back to this one again, usually referred to as Milankovitch cycles. To me, in my research, I refer to them as long count cycles, and this graphic here is just to show you the various wavelengths. So each of these is a different wavelength and refers to a different kind of phenomenology that relates to the various cosmic cycles that interact with our Earth, lunar, solar system as a whole. So each of these will be a unique episode in the Galactic Code section, but essentially what we're talking about here is various sine waves or time waves that interact over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So how to make sense of all of this information? Again, going back to here, you can definitely see that there is peaks. There's the major peaks, and then there's these sort of in-between peaks, anomalies sort of peaks, but the main peaks here, there's definitely a pattern to that. Yeah, and the thing is after finishing my book, and then reflecting back, because I mean I saw this maybe 20 years ago, and you know how you meant to understand it back then. But through writing my book and talking about the geometric and organic, I looked again at the ice cores, and what I found is essentially this. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Now, what that's saying is that these two, the first two, are similar in wavelength, and the next two are also similar in wavelength. Hopefully that comes across here in relation to these first four. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see the underlying maths. Now, what that reminded me of is on the level that we relate to on Earth, that I've expressed mathematically in my book called The Organic Year, we have things like this, which is the lengths of the seasons are 89, 93, 93, and 90 in whole numbers. So I looked again at the ice cores, and I thought to myself, wow, yeah, that's kind of familiar on a different fractal level, because here you have 4, 4, and 5, and 5. So on a higher fractal level, covering almost, that's 500,000 years or 500,000. Here, that is approximately 400. Okay? But it has a similar fractal code, hence my statement up here, universe is organic. Because the larger fractal codes reflect the tinier fractal codes. On one level here, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years, and on the other, we're talking about a season. So that's quite a number of orders of magnitude in difference. And yet the maths adds up. Now, I've looked online for many different places to find the causes. How would you then determine what's actually causing this alteration of organic? What causes the fluctuation in our egg-shaped orbit? Now, just today, I had a visitation from Alex the astrologer, and while we were hanging out, I was doing maths. And so I have actually found some new numbers today that would essentially explain the underlying maths of this graphic. And yet up here it says, this is nature rules. Nature rules. I remember sharing this one before about all the different levels. communicating the egg shape, explaining it within the greater context of the galactic scale, artistically. So the egg shape orbit is central to all these different levels in order to actually understand the reality of it. Because going back to this one, okay, this is a geometric average, yeah, but that's not necessarily real, but it is a geometric average. This is real organic fluctuations. So that is a mathematical average, which, yes, occasionally can be very real, but isn't real all the time, whereas this is always real. It's the organic reality in relation to the geometric average. So both of those aspects of maths went into explaining this graphic more and how it relates to the X marks the spot, number 10, with the 4 tones, yeah, the T-A-R-O, tarot, and we're talking about the galactic tarot here. So, these counter-rotating axes, in relation to thousands and thousands of years, can be explained using the long count, because if you actually measure the midpoint of number 1, if you find this image and you print it out, if you measure from this midpoint of this first interglacial to the one we're in now, okay, it's closer to 410,000 years. And 410,000 years just happens to be 80 long counts. Okay? So that's the big level calculation that gives us the overall geometric average over this period. Okay? So on this level now, whereas in previous episodes this was the 33-year cycle, and these are the 372, 391s, now the geometric average is the long count, and other cycles fluctuate around it. Okay? So what are these cycles? Well, I mentioned these 2 axes spinning in counter-rotation, and that is the axis of perihelion to aphelion, which I like to shorten to the rotation of Ptah, PH plus AH. I like to call that the rotation of Ptah. And along with the rotation of Ptah, you have the rotation of the precession of the equinox, which gives us our ages of the zodiac. Now, in terms of long counts, ages of the zodiac and rotation of Ptah last 4 and 5 long counts as a geometric average. Remember, whenever I have the long count number in a calculation, I'm talking about a geometric average. Now, I'm emphasizing that the universe is primarily organic, so that we understand that these numbers aren't necessarily fixed, as in they fluctuate, but there is a geometric average that runs through the lot of them. So here are these 2. Okay, so we have, can I do, yeah, there we go. So you've got 2 on there, yeah, you've got the 16 times the 5 long counts equals 410, or 20 times the 4 long counts, also making the 410. And these 2 are the, you see here, ages of the zodiac, and rotations of Ptah. Okay, so that's some more long counts there. That's the same information that's on here. You've got here is the rotation of Ptah. Here's the precession, the ages. Now there's one final one, which is the axial tilt. Okay. So these are all waves within waves within waves. The overall, over a geometric average, covering about 410,000 years, ultimately come back into synchrony again. Now the other one is the 10 here, 10 times the 8 long counts, which is the axial tilt. So 10 times 8 long counts is the 410,000 as well, and that one is the axial tilt. Okay, so that one is 10 times 8 long counts, 410 axial tilt, and the 10 times the 8 is 80. Just like here, the 20 times the 4 equals 80, 410,000. That's the rotation of Ptah. And here, just to look at it individually again, you have the 16 times the 5 also equals 80. So 16 times the 5 long counts for ages of the zodiac. So that's 3 different ones. Okay, that's 3 different ones that all connect in there with the long count, which is the overall. The overall one is the 80 times the long count, which is the 410, which is the long count, which is the geometric average. So what's this fourth level then? What's this other level? Well, that's going back to this one again, which is the organic, the fluctuations, the organic egg orbit fluctuations. Now I put a little clue here, and it says Galactic Arkana 7. Yeah. So what is it then that's actually causing the changes over 500,000 years that can be explained with this sort of math? Well, I'm going to have to give thanks to Theodor again for his number 317.7, which you can find in the Galactic Arkana number 7, which is the Chariot. So I was doing my calculations earlier, trying to figure out what to do, how to understand the math. Yes, took me the whole day. And finally, the numbers came out of my calculation, which is to say, I can show that the mathematics behind this 4 to 5 to 5 organic fluctuation can be mathematically connected to the gas giants of our solar system. That is the research of Theodor Landsreich. I've put links to that in Galactic Arkana number 7, or the links to the Chariot video. Now, these numbers relate to formulas in relation to the ice cores. Okay? And if you do the calculation with the 317.7, if you multiply it first by 288, you'll get an approximate number of years. And if you also multiply it by 357, you'll get another number of years. Now, those two periods of years, as a form of resonance in our holistic universe we live in, match these peaks here. Okay? In a 4:5 ratio on this level. Now that's the numbers which I've only just calculated today, just in time for this video. Now I'll probably make other graphics and include further explanations about that in my third book, because I've been looking for those numbers since last winter solstice. So I found those today, and I'll just repeat those again for you. That's 288 and 357. Both numbers which I resonate with. Okay. So how does it bring this all home in the last 4 minutes then? So we've got 4 minutes. It's X marks the spot day. Galactic Arkana number 10. 4 tones. And I said it related to where even the origins of the word tarot come from. Somehow, don't ask me, but it resonates. Here's that. So you've got the axial tilt, which is the T, and that is the 8 times, the 10 times the 8 long counts. You have the ages, the ages of the zodiac, that's the and that's the 16 times the 5 long counts. Here you have the rotation of Ptah, the R, that is 20 times the 4 long counts. And finally, the organic egg orbit, the O and the T, which is the organic level, which can be explained using the maths. Thank you very much to Theodor for his lifetime of work to explain that fluctuation in the ice cores. Okay, now I'm pretty sure there's other numbers down here for larger levels. I haven't figured those out, which is like if the geometric average is the 5,125 year long count, what's the fluctuation? So there's more numbers to be revealed at a later date. But that is the essence of the Ta'aru, galactic level Ta'aru. Yeah. The mathematics all adds up. Yes, it does. Connects with the ice cores over 410,000 years. We live in an organic universe. This is covering 410,000 years. This is covering a year. It's a pattern I recognize because of my work understanding the organic nature of the year. I started this galactic tarot sequence on the organic equinox here in Edinburgh, in Scotland. I've already had quite a lot of synchronicities about that already. Here's just some maths I noted down before doing different calculations. And here's those numbers again. 288, 357. 80 long counts. So yeah, that's quite fascinating, isn't it? I was really looking forward to actually understanding how to explain this. And lo and behold, today, finally, I got the maps to connect up on all the levels and match what I felt intuitively at the winter solstice. Whoa, dude! It's pretty crazy, man. How do you do those numbers? How do you do those numbers in your head? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. it can all be explained in further detail. This is the organic, again, the art of it, organically. The truth will set us free. If it doesn't, it's not the truth. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Hopefully the explanation is going to unfurl further. Again, if you go to galacticarkana.xyz, you can click on Galactic Arkana number 10 and see a longer episode about this same material. Blessed be everybody.